Let's clap. And probably 25. All right, so we're sitting here with Jeff Rogers from Angry Garlic out in Baldwinsville. Thanks for coming down, man.
Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, for sure. How the hell are you down here at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, man?
I have an incredible staff.
When you said I sent the text out the other day to the group, and I was like, I'm thinking 9 a.m. would work, And who is it from Sammy Malone's? What's his name?
Tom?
Tom.
Yeah.
Tom sent me a private text. He was like, hey, just so you know, Saturday mornings are pretty tough on restaurant owners. And here in my head, I'm thinking, oh, that's going to be a great time. They're not open.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then a couple other people started chiming in like, that's not going to work for us. So
Yeah, Saturday mornings, a lot of times, I'm down there getting the restaurant ready.
yeah,
Just getting the liquor ready, beer ready for the day. Just tidying up loose ends.
yeah,
So 9 a.m. or doing a little bit of cleaning.
yeah, man.
A lot to do at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning.
And last night you were saying off air you had a 3-hour wait last
3-hour wait last night on a Friday night. It was intense. It was an aggressive service, but everything went very, very smooth. Ticket times were on point. Front of the house did a great job. I couldn't have asked for a better service.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was mentioning because we have that dinner group and we came out to Angry Garlic last year during dining weeks.
Yep.
And it was you guys were slammed that night too.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever been in there when there's not like a healthy amount of people in there.
We're very blessed.
Yeah.
Every single night, we have at least a full restaurant every single night, and most nights, even during the week, we're on a wait.
Yeah.
So we're very blessed.
And that was all planned right before you started.
Oh yeah, right, right, yeah. No, my wife and I's our original intentions were just to open up a small restaurant, 10 employees with a small menu, and take it from there. And now we're up to 25 employees and a much larger menu.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's what Baldwinsville wanted, and they expressed that to us even during the construction phase. They were pumped that we were opening up another restaurant instead of a bar. So we gave the public what they wanted.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah. There's a lot of restaurants in Beeville.
There's a lot of great restaurants in Beeville.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate to be a part of that. And in my opinion, the more the better.
Really?
The more good restaurants that are around, great restaurants that are around, the more it draws people to come check out the scene, check out the food scene, check out the drink scene, check out the live music scene.
Yeah.
So, I'm perfectly happy with the restaurants that are there and the ones that are closed or have already previously closed. I'm excited to see what's going to open up there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. I mean, downtown obviously has a lot here, downtown Syracuse, but it just feels like, to think that there's 12 restaurants participating in dining weeks and that's not all of them.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, man, for sure.
I love it.
So, I was going to talk about Baldwin's dining weeks, but we'll do that at the end of the podcast. So what were you doing before you guys had the idea to start the restaurant?
I've always been in the restaurant industry. 28 years this past September.
Wow.
Is how long I've been in the industry. Starting in 1991, I started as a busboy for Drumlin's Country Club. And then I never got out of it. I fell in love with the industry from day one, and I never really looked back. For a short period of time, roughly 13 years ago or so, I got my real estate license with the intention of getting out of the industry.
Okay.
And that was very short-lived. I still have my real estate license. Yeah.
I'm actually getting mine right now.
Are you?
Yeah, I just signed up. I bought the course or whatever, and yeah, I'm right in the middle of it.
Yeah, I love it. It's an awesome industry. I love real estate. But I was only out of the industry for maybe, I'd say 6 months.
Okay.
And then I was right back in it.
Right back into the restaurants.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's how old were you when you did that?
The restaurant?
No, your real estate license.
Real estate license, I got that when I was 32 years old. So it was, I'm not going to say how many years ago that was.
Yeah, it is tough, man. I mean, I'm not sure if this is why you did it, but it's tough to be in the restaurant industry for a long time. And I feel like, I mean, I've never been in it like any significant amount of time, but I talked to so many people who they kind of hit that like 5 to 10 year mark, and it's like, all right, it's time to figure something else out. You know?
Yeah, and that's kind of the way it was with me as well. Previous to getting my real estate license, I owned a restaurant called the Burgundy Lounge, which is located right outside of Hanover Square. It was the old Rafferty's.
Oh, cool.
And I had that place for a couple of years, and after I sold that, it was my intention on just doing something different for a little while. You know, I've been doing the restaurant, I've been in the restaurant industry since I was 16. Figured give it a little bit of a break, see what else I want to get into, which is why I moved forward with my real estate license. And then I missed it, man. 6 months out of it, and I really did miss it. And then I was blessed enough to say that I was part of the opening team for Empire Brewing Company when they reopened downtown.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was very lucky to be a part of that team, and that was an incredible crew.
Yeah.
You know, and that's when I got back into it after 6 months of being out.
Wow.
When I reopened Empire for those guys.
Yeah. That's wild. What was your job at Empire? Like, I mean, was it just for the opening team or like just to get the thing like open?
It was, well, yeah, my intention was just to go in there and be a part of the opening team, help with the opening process, and but my title was bartender. You know, I didn't have a management title by any means there.
Yeah.
But 10.5 years later, I was still there.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, after that long period of time, my wife and I had a conversation about opening up another restaurant, and we decided on garlic.
Wow. That's wild. So, yeah. So I'm kind of curious, your first restaurant, the name of it again, Burgundy
Lounge.
Burgundy Lounge. Yeah, that's a great name.
It was cool. It was kind of like a 80s and 90s theme bar.
That's cool.
It was really neat. And then I, you know, on the restaurant side, I brought in my very good friend Kevin Gentili.
Oh, I didn't know you were friends with Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin's a very good friend of mine.
Oh, that's cool. My parents are really good friends with him.
Yeah. He's an incredible chef.
Yeah.
One of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, he really is, man. He used to have, it was like, what was it, Tuesday or Thursday night, Stump the Chef or something?
Quiz Kevin.
Yeah, Quiz Kevin.
Quiz Kevin at his old Gentili's location.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. And I've never seen anyone stump him, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, right. I've never seen anybody else do that either.
Yeah. So Kevin and I kind of partnered up on the restaurant side of the Burgundy Lounge. And then, you know, he was back there and he was taking care of the food side. I was taking care of the alcohol side, and we had a great relationship there.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So you wound up selling it?
I ended up selling it after a couple of years of being in business. You know, decided to get out of it. And like I said, that's when I got my real estate license.
Yeah, man. Yeah. What's the worst part about owning a restaurant?
I would have to say that if you have a family, the worst part is the hours that you have to put in. You know, especially when opening a restaurant, it's your second wife.
Yeah.
It really is, and it's your kids, it's everything. You know, and in my opinion, if you want to be successful in this industry and be a restaurant owner, you have to plan on for a year or two not having a life. The restaurant's your life.
Yeah.
And I think if you can come to a realization that that's going to be your life, then you can absolutely be successful in this industry as an owner. You know, but if you have a family, it does take a toll on the family.
Yeah. Is it possible? I mean, like what level of, I don't know if it's success or if it's freedom, but what level do you have to get to before it can kind of just be the restaurant that you own and not your second wife?
I think it all depends on the training that's involved and the staff that you hire. I'm extremely blessed in the staff I have. I love my staff.
Yeah.
There's nothing my wife and I wouldn't do for our staff. And part of that reason is because they are just, they eat, live, and breathe Angry Garlic. They really do.
Yeah.
They wear Angry Garlic gear when they're not working, you know, and it's because they're proud.
Yeah.
And they take a lot of pride in where they work. And they're guest forward oriented.
Yeah.
Which to my wife and I is the most important thing that you can possibly do. Angry Garlic for us is, treat every single guest like a VIP. It's guest first, then food and beverage. And every single one of our staff members are acceptable to that, and they love it.
Yeah.
Even in the back of the house, the kitchen's the same way.
What made you where did you learn that? I mean, you've obviously been in the industry forever, but I mean, there's still some restaurant owners I talk to or people that have been in it for as long or whatever who don't have that kind of a view on it.
I think a lot of it came from the way I was trained and brought up in the industry, and also my personal upbringing.
Yeah.
I was brought up to put others first.
Yeah.
And it's the way I've lived my life. It's the way my parents taught me. It's the way my brothers are. And it's just the way I was raised.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely no different for the restaurant industry. It's the guest service industry.
Yeah.
You got to put your guests first.
Yeah.
And if you can hold on to that concept and maintain that positive attitude that, every single guest that walks through that door is a guest at your house, then I think that everyone can leave extremely happy.
Yeah. So, how long has Angry Garlic been open?
1 year, 4 months, and 1 day.
Okay. And how long was the planning phase for the restaurant?
The planning phase for the restaurant, let's see, we were supposed to open in June of 2018 with a mild 2-month construction period involved. And the mild 2-month construction period didn't exist after we got started. The building is a very, very old building from 1846, if I remember correctly. And a lot of previous owners put Band-Aids on the problems that existed in the building. And my wife and I wanted to make sure that everything was functioning the way it should be functioning in the place.
Yeah.
So one thing led to another, and then there were all kinds of codes that had to be taken care of. Grease traps. It turned into a pretty big nightmare.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it pushed us back roughly 3 months for opening.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's I mean, don't answer this if you don't want to, but I mean, how do you handle that financially when you've got something that you're expecting in 60 days to kind of be up and bringing money in for it?
I mean, at that time, luckily we had a little bit of money in our account, but in regards to the financing with the bank, thankfully the business plan that we put together, it was rock solid.
Yeah, that's cool.
And the bank was extremely cooperative with us in, loaning us more money for the opening because we went way over budget.
Yeah.
Way, way, way over budget. And, the bank was extremely cooperative. They were fantastic to work with. And they really held our hands and got us through that very difficult period. When we finally opened the doors, we were really broke. We were in a pretty bad position there. So we really needed the restaurant to work.
Yeah.
And we needed it to crank some numbers from day one. Thankfully, that's exactly what it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, talking about like employees, I mean, your staff, one thing, I see, part of me, I hate the Facebook groups that exist out there about food and restaurants, especially because, yeah, in one way it can get the word out about a restaurant, but in other ways, they all most of them kind of morph into, let me tell you about my bad experience.
Yeah.
And I just can't stand that stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. I delete, as soon as, on any of the Eat Local accounts, somebody says something bad about a restaurant, I'm the first to call them out and delete it because it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Having said that, I still watch them because I do want to see if there's a trend if one restaurant is just sucking for a time, And if I ever see anything about Angry Garlic, it's usually either everything was amazing or it was a super long wait, but everything else was amazing. There was just one, I think, today on the Where Syracuse Eats page. And this, older guy and his wife went out to lunch and the place was crowded. Our food took a little bit longer, but the staff was amazing. The owner came out. He seemed like a really chill dude,
Yeah.
And I think it had been a while since I stopped back in for anything from like because I don't never get out to Beeville,
Right.
And if I do, it's like Tucsone's and back, you know, and or now Fireside Tucsone's. But I was really surprised to see a lot of the same staff at your restaurant. I almost never see that. Yeah.
Our turnover rate for staff is very, very minimal, especially for a new restaurant. You know, typically with a new restaurant, the staff is kind of on edge and not certain how the restaurant's going to do. So you'll see some staff leave, pick some more staff up, and you'll circle through quite a bit of staff typically within the first year.
Yeah.
Luckily, we've had probably 65 to 75% of our staff that we have on right now is the original staff.
Wow.
Which is incredible.
Yeah.
I couldn't be happier about that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that also comes from local support as well.
Yeah.
The local support in Beeville is ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it.
Really?
Even the local restaurant owners in Beeville, we all have a group text that we've been having go on since last year for dining week.
Oh, really?
Honest to God. And it's so awesome.
Yeah.
Because of all the different places, cities, resorts I've worked, I've never had that relationship with other restaurant owners.
Yeah.
Ever. It's pretty much unheard of.
It really is amazing. And there, with exception to a few small cases, most of the people I've talked to, and whether it's a brewery, a restaurant, coffee shop, whatever, they all are like, they don't view the others as competition. They're not constantly out there trying to think of ways to, screw them over or steal a menu item or cut a price or anything like that.
Right.
They're all really, especially like the restaurants around here. I mean, there's chefs that run around and exchange ingredients and, try and develop the menu together and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see that in Beeville because I feel like if there was a place where there should be a lot of competition amongst each other, it would be a place like Baldwinsville.
Right.
Like it's one thing to expect a lot of competition in downtown, place like downtown Syracuse.
Sure.
Armory Square, whatever. But it's kind of weird for me to see so much in Baldwinsville in such a small area. And it's just the opposite. Everybody kind of gets along.
Everyone gets along awesome.
Yeah.
And even at the end of service, on a really, really busy Friday, Saturday night, end of dinner service, a couple other restaurant owners and myself will even sneak out together. We'll have an adult beverage.
That's cool. Yeah.
Meet at Pizza Man or meet at Angry Garlic or meet at Sammy Malone's, meet at one of the local establishments. And, the bartenders will sneak out if they could sneak out early. And it's awesome. It's fantastic. We talk about how the service went, how ticket times were, how the guests were, and talk a little bit of shop.
Yeah.
And then we drop it, and then we just talk about the kids.
Yeah.
And our wives.
Yeah, man. That's cool.
But it's a fantastic relationship. It really is.
Yeah. All right. So I have an idea that I can make the best taco, right? And I know I can because my friends and my family have told me I make the best taco, right? So I'm going to open up a restaurant, Jeff. I'm going to open up a restaurant that makes the best fucking taco that anybody in the world has ever had because my friends and my family said I make the best taco.
Okay.
So what's my first step?
First step is to find out how many other places are making tacos around you.
Too many.
Too many. And then you're going to go and try their tacos and see just how good they are.
Yeah.
You're definitely going to want to look at your competition in regards to the type or style of food that you're going to be serving.
Yeah.
You're going to want to look at your population areas to where you want to open.
Okay.
You're going to want to see how much drive-through traffic you have in front of your building every single day.
Yeah.
You're going to want to assess the parking situation.
Yeah.
You're even going to want to try to take into account what is the age group of the area you're going to.
Okay.
If you're going to be surrounded by an area where it's an older group, where you're serving 55 to 75-year-olds, are they really going to love tacos?
Not here.
Or are you going to be
Yeah.
really targeting a young group that would love a taco
Yeah.
with a little bit of a spin on it? you know, some smoked jalapenos and fresh queso on there, something like that, you know, and then you might be in the right area.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's what I would say is the first thing you want to look at.
All right, that's really good advice. That's actually, I don't think there's a lot of restaurant owners I know that never took any of those steps before they opened. And,
Probably very true.
yeah, and a lot who have,
Yep.
you know. I never in a million years would have thought that the direction of the road you're on matters. And Paul Valenti was like, I'm in a great situation. It's a one-way street. You can pull in, get your donuts, and pull out. You don't have to worry about much.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So besides obviously the construction and going over budget and all that kind of stuff, were there any other like major headaches that popped up during like getting ready for the restaurant?
Getting ready for the restaurant, I mean, really all the other things that popped up in regards to codes and getting the space itself up to code was probably the biggest challenge. You know, you have to deal with the village because I'm in the village of Baldwinsville, and then you have to deal with Onondaga County.
Yeah.
You know, and those two don't always work together.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I'm not going to say they're uncooperative. They just have different codes and they have different guidelines that you have to go by.
Yeah.
That, you know, 1 second you're like, all right, I got this done. I think I'm in the clear. And then a different person walks in and they're like, no, you're not. You're not even close, man. And then next thing you know, you're putting in a 500-gallon grease trap that's $10,000, you know? And that's that's a small example of something I ran into down there where I thought something was going to be grandfathered. And it wasn't even close.
Which one was worse? Was it the county or the village?
Oh boy.
You don't have to say.
I can't.
I'd imagine
I'd rather.
I'm going to guess that if it was the county, you would have said so, but the village may listen.
Right. Yeah, I'd rather not say.
That's funny.
The village had a lot of little things that
Yeah.
I had to take care of. The county had a couple big things I had to take care of.
That makes sense. Yeah.
You know, so the county didn't so much nitpick
Yeah.
as much as say, all right, this is a problem. This is a problem. They're two big problems. You got to take care of them.
Yeah.
Whereas the village they nitpicked a little bit, but you know, it is what it is. It's their codes. It's their village. I have to get it up to code. I got to get it up to code.
Yeah, for
you know,
sure.
and I certainly don't think it was anything that was intended just for me or for Angry Garlic. I think it's that way with the village in general.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So,
yeah, I'm sure there's, you know, when you're in kind of an old small place like that, there's a lot more things that have to be considered.
sure.
Yeah, without
Absolutely.
a doubt. Is there any like one or two pieces of advice that you would give to somebody that wanted to open up that restaurant serving the best tacos?
I would the first piece of advice I would give is to make sure that when you're ready to open those doors, you have the frame of mind that every single person walking through those doors is literally a guest in your house. And you have to treat every single one of them like they are a guest. Words that my wife and I live by, and we try to kind of instill in our children, and something that we instill in our staff as well, is humble and kind. You know, and I would say anyone that can't really grasp onto those words and not only treat your staff like that and treat your guests like that and treat yourselves a little bit to that as well. You got to be humble and kind in this industry.
Yeah.
You know, there can't be chips on shoulders, and regardless, the guest is always right.
Yeah.
The guest is the guest, and the guest is always right. Even when they're wrong, they're still right. You know, so and you got to kind of grasp onto that as well. You know, it's swallow your pride, and make the guest happy.
Yeah, man.
You know,
social
media is a fantastic thing, but it also can be a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
You know, social media is free marketing, but it's also freedom of speech for guests that are not too happy with the service or the food or anything for that matter.
Yeah.
And I've seen social media really do some damage to some restaurants as well.
I was just talking to somebody last night who's sort of in the industry, but not at the direct level, you know, that you are. And I was telling them it just seems like there's these random windows of time on Facebook specifically where every lunatic hits every page, right? Like you'll just see the most ridiculous trash start commenting. Like they'll make up, for one restaurant, they sell drugs out of the back, which maybe for some that's true, but not this restaurant they were talking about. And, then they'll say, I opened up my box of pizza and there was a live rat. They just make stuff up. And it just seems like there's this one window every year that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was telling this person that in the conversation, and they were like floored. They were like, there's no way that happens. Who are these people? What do you do about it? Do you make a post and then call them out? I'm like, no, man, you can't draw attention to that stuff.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, you flag it, you ban it, you do your stuff, if it's truly ridiculous. If it's, listen, if, the waitress did spill the bowl of pasta in their lap, well, then you get on there and apologize and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you better get them a gift card right away.
Right. But if the story is that the waitress pulled a knife on them because they didn't order fast enough, well, then, no, you just delete that comment and, ban them from your Facebook page.
Right. And I've seen some pretty ridiculous stories out there in regards to restaurants or even other businesses for that matter. And the problem is that you have no idea where it's coming from or why it's happening.
Yeah.
They could be pissed off at one of the servers, bartenders, someone in the kitchen, the owner.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to get back at them for something for all we know.
Which happens a lot more often than people would realize.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. I mean, there's just any number of things, and all of us can be keyboard warriors
Absolutely.
from time to time, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, thanks so much for coming down and being on the
Anthony.
podcast, man. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And Baldwinsville Dining Week's going on until February 8th. 12 restaurants out in Baldwinsville, but specifically Angry Garlic. 3-course meal for $25. So get out there.
Thank you.